So let's talk about some NBA news. As we're getting into the season, close to training camp, this is the time when players are exploring, when the NBA is getting interesting, when everyone's ready for the season to come back, and when we really look at the league and we're like, are you finished? And if you're not, then you probably should start doing something soon. You know, no one wants training camp to start, right, with disgruntled stars, players who can't play, or, with teams which don't fit the vision of whatever franchise they're playing for. Now, this also has to do, right, with the fact, and the reason why I'm saying this is because if we're being honest, when we look at a situation like Dame right now, they're gonna start training camp or they're gonna start the season, and if they still have him, then he's not gonna want to play. He's probably not gonna show up, and the season being around the corner, almost a month away, causes that situation to either have to get resolved or stalled until something happens. So, a few of the situations I wanted to talk about. First, the Damian Lillard situation. I wanted to say, like, what is happening? I know I saw a report the other day that not that the Trailblazers and the Heat are working on a deal to get Dame to Miami, and they think that it's most likely going to be a three-team deal. But that worries me, right? Like when we look at the Blazers, they've been one of the best teams in the league, right? With Dame consistently, they've been a team which always has a positive record and can always actually do something when it comes to making the playoffs and not being a bottom tier team. Now, we saw this that the Trailblazers this season looked like they had it. This season looked like the one. We looked at them and we're like, these guys are gonna rule because they had Jeremy Grant, Yusuf Nurkic, they had Anthony Simons, and they had Dame playing at a spectacular level with Josh Hart at the start of the season, obviously, and Shaden Sharp. But now that we know that Dame requested a trade, we know that it's all gone to down. You have Scoot, you got a guard, you have Anthony Simons, and just play out the season, bro. Like, I don't understand what's so hard about trading Dame, get 3 first-round picks and 2 promising players, and call it a day. You don't need the enormous package that guys get. And even a team like the Brooklyn Nets, even though, yes, they had got a big package, like KD was pretty cheap for what he's actually worth. And you don't see them complaining. You know what they've done? They've taken the guys who they've had and they've embraced them. So in my opinion, it's time for the Blazers to do that. We've been waiting on them to do it. And if they don't do it soon, then Dame is just going to sit on that bench and not play. And even if he does play, it's not going to be an appropriate level of play. It's going to be one just to get it out the way. But on to the next topic, I wanted to talk about Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon, there was a report that came out where it said that Malcolm Brogdon is unhappy with the Celtics. He's angry at the Celtics because he was imposed in trade talks. Now, I understand where Malcolm Brogdon is coming from. He got signed to a team which, promised him the world. They promised him a great role. And especially now that Marcus Smart left, he's going to have to play. Probably. And I'm saying that probably. Or he's going to get a bigger role. And now that same team turns around and says, oh, yeah, we want to trade him, it's kind of harsh. Malcolm Brogdon is a great player. He played really well last season. And even though he's on your team, he is a guy who you expect a lot from, right? You at least expect production from him. And he, I think, found the role which he loves to play. Like Malcolm Brogdon in Indiana and the Bucks have been the main guy, the secondary guy, just a role player. And he's really found with the Celtics at home. And I imagine that it hurt him to hear those news. Now, the other thing I do want to say is that from the Celtics perspective, what do you expect? Like, you came here, we had turbulence last season with you in the roster, and you were supposed to fix a lot of our problems. So now we have to assess this turbulence and make something work, right? And see how we can make it work for our season. Because even though, yes, we might have Malcolm Brogdon, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown, and Robert Williams who can still play, I do think it is important for the Celtics that, they keep their chemistry alive as much as they can, because without chemistry and with these young stars, or without chemistry, it will be very hard to win a championship. Finally, the last one I wanted to talk about was the Dwight Howard to the Warriors. Now, this is not confirmed, right? And I just wanted to talk about it because I find it extremely interesting. So, if you guys didn't know, Dwight Howard went to the Warriors. Well, he's talking with the Warriors about signing there for the season. Now, this is very interesting, as Dwight Howard is a player who obviously we know him from his prime, where he averaged monster statistics, was a top 3 player in the NBA. But today, he's been struggling a few years to get a job in the NBA, playing in Taiwan or whatever. Now, when we look at Dwight Howard, we say, like, yo, this guy's great, but is he actually going to get a contract? And maybe he is. The reason why I say this is because Dwight Howard now actually has something that he can do. Dwight Howard is a player which is big, he's strong, and he has great defense. And honestly, now that you have this big center in the West who just won a championship, I think that's the mold of player that you need. And having Dwight Howard in Golden State can help them defensively to stop Nikola Jokic in the playoffs. Also, that I wanted to say that this is a proven formula. Like, of course, it was a worse Jokic, but the last time that Jokic and Dwight Howard played in the playoffs, Dwight Howard locked him up, or at least he helped to stop him. You know why? Dwight Howard is extremely strong, he's extremely big, and he's a guy who you don't move easily. And his defense in a team like Golden State can actually bring them, first, some size, and second, just rotational big men just to put in their lineup and be able to make it make sense with Steph, Clay, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond, and Kevon Looney, which none of them are over 6'9", right? Now, the reason why I like this move for the Warriors, apart from being great defensively and giving them size, is that I think that just like having Dwight Howard on the team would help their confidence a lot. I think the Warriors are a team which has consistently relied on that small ball lineup, but they are going to face issues a lot with teams like Milwaukee, like Philadelphia, and like the Nuggets, because those are the teams which are posed to win championships. And if you get to the playoffs and your best center is Kevon Looney, which, even though I love Kevon Looney, his best attribute is rebounds and hustle. And if you have a guy like Kevon Looney out there getting 40 rebounds in 2 games, right? But you cannot guard a guy like Nikola Jokic, it poses problems for your lineup. Now, I know that before they've had the strategies to shut him down, but it also worked in favor of the Lakers when they got into the series and AD just got to eat in the paint. Like, and I don't say that lightly, AD was actually playing really well that series and had real standout games just because in the paint they couldn't really stop him. And I think that this is crucial. I like these moves, and I wanted to say also, lastly, it's not a real thing that I'm going to elaborate on, and I want to say that Jalen Noel is still a free agent, and I wanted to just say that I like him. I like how he played for Minnesota last season, and I do think that he's a great player who deserves an NBA roster spot. You know, he's young, he's good, and he plays well. I hope that he gets it. You know, I don't like to see these types of situations where there are free agents and there's just too many good people in the NBA, right? But apart from that, tell me what you think about these 3 or 4 topics. Tell me what you think about them. Tell me what you think of these moves, of these rumors, of these news, and I'll see you in the next video.